And then ST wrote in through the Last Stand Media Patreon saying, "Hey, fellas, two questions because I'm greedy. One, who does Microsoft acquire next? And two, will Ubisoft's subscription service come to Game Pass? Game Pass a la EA Play. Thanks, you both rock." All right, Carrick. So the news is out. There's a chance that uPlay is being rolled into Game Pass. A lot of people thought they'd sort of tear it off with EA Play. They just rolled that whole sucker in. Does the same treatment in a service that carries the likes of Far Cry, all the Assassin's Creed games. You got Siege in there. You've got so many games. Child of Light. Does this happen? Does uPlay Plus make its way to Game Pass Ultimate?
I don't know if Plus will. I talked about this about 3 weeks ago on the podcast because I heard the same stuff. I don't know what he means by C, but I will say, talking to people who work at various companies and sort of what everybody's looking for and why EA did it. Because that's one thing people need to realize is if money-wise, financially, it makes sense. A third-party platform, they'll go to Luna. They've already gone to Luna, which is streaming through Amazon. Ubisoft has, so it's shown that they have no issue separating their games. They're on Steam. They're on their own service. I don't know, because I also wonder if the spread for cost right now is becoming a little tenuous for Microsoft to not raise the cost of Game Pass to offset a company like Ubisoft. What Ubisoft could do is something like a grab bag thing, where if they call it a different type of service and it's like a couple games a month are free or something like that. Additionally, they'll probably look at titles that aren't selling incredibly high because Microsoft's Game Pass has a very odd logic to it where it results in more sales. And I can certainly tell you it has for me. Like, even though I have Game Pass, I've bought multiple games that are still on Game Pass because my brain's like, well, if it goes away and I've enjoyed it and I have no problem rewarding devs. So, yeah, I don't know on that one. I mean, I've heard a lot of back and forth about it, but I didn't expect them to go to Luna, which makes me wonder how much like back end stuff they've got, like how many people they've got for customer support for multiple streaming services, where they want to put them, the packages. By the way, that would require different packages too, as in developers would have to make sure the package was prepped for Game Pass versus, other stuff.
Yeah, I just can't help but get excited at the idea of, even though I wasn't a huge fan of the game, but like Immortals Phoenix Rising being something that's available to people through Game Pass.
Yeah.
That is the exposure a game like that could benefit from. But Ubisoft games typically don't struggle, especially when you look at like Assassin's Creed with Valhalla, which was immensely successful. I think Microsoft will have to pay a premium if they want to get the bulk of this in. I mean, but they've got other titles. Like, I'm just looking now.
Ubisoft releases a lot of titles, don't they?
There's so
People
many
forget
games,
that.
man. I found in here Child of Light, South Park series, which is a great series of RPGs. Primo. I mean, the Splinter Cell games, the older ones. I mean, there's a lot for them to benefit from if they get this into Game Pass.
And Ubisoft already has some games on Game Pass. That should also be remembered. Yes, it's not like they don't have some games already.
Yeah, I think this is something that could very well happen. It just kind of makes sense with Microsoft's playbook, honestly. There's no specific inside source or reasoning other than just I could totally see them going for something like this. It seems like the next thing that would add value to Game Pass. But what we have to remember is Bethesda is going to have all of their stuff heading to Game Pass. We already saw Doom make their way there. They've had Skyrim Special Edition. There is Fallout 3, New Vegas, 76 is on there. But we have yet to see, like, I think the Dishonored franchise is not on there. Prey was previously on there and left. But once I think that the Bethesda acquisition is official, that is going to be a bulk of brand new titles heading to Game Pass as well. That's going to instantly add value because there is currently stuff missing there. So I think if I'm Xbox, if they're looking at uPlay, which I have no doubt they're making their phone calls on it, I do think they're going to try to balance it out. Like, when does the Bethesda deal end up being official, and when can we get uPlay in? If you can get uPlay in before Bethesda, maybe Bethesda's happening in June and you can get uPlay in by March, then yeah, I'd say go for it, right? Because then you've got 2 beats to add to your biggest value program. The question is, of course, as always, how Microsoft manages to stay afloat while paying all this obscene amount of money for access to games. But I think given that Ubisoft is on Luna, I do feel like with uPlay, it's where's the money at, right? So if Microsoft's willing to pay, I'm sure Ubisoft is willing to play. So I fully expect uPlay to at some point in some way, shape, or form be in Game Pass. And I think you're onto something when you say the packaged games, because there's just so fucking many. It would make sense
Yeah.
to just like be like, here's a bulk of Assassin's Creed games. Next month we'll have a bulk of Far Cry and some more Assassin's Creed games along with Immortals, that type of stuff. So we'll see.